Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in a Fortnite video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about double 90s, and specifically there's a lot of different double 90s that you can do in this game. There's a ton of different techniques, and there's a ton of different methods that you can do to do double 90s. So I'm going to be talking about some of the most common double 90s that people do in this game, and as well really explain exactly why you'd want to use some of the other 90s, because I think the double 90s that there are in this game, I think they're very good in some situations, and sometimes different 90s are going to be better than others. And before we get into the video, I have a weekly V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away V-Bucks every single Friday, and if you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you guys need to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel, and as well subscribe to my second channel. I post a ton of really good content on there, so make sure you guys do subscribe. Turn on my post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And if you guys would like to support me as a creator in the item shop, all you have to do is go over to the item shop, go into the bottom right hand corner, support a creator, and type in my code. My code is Young Humor. Type it in and you guys will have me support it as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so in this video, like I said, I'm going to be talking about the different double 90s that are in this game, and as well fully explain exactly why you'd want to use each one of them. And I feel like some of them are better in certain situations, and I'm really going to explain exactly what I mean by that. Alright, so first off, I just want to say I really don't feel like there's going to be a best double 90 or really a best 90 that you can do, because a lot of times it is personal preference on exactly which ones you prefer to do, but I do feel like in some certain situations other 90s are going to be better than others. So getting into the first one in this video, and this is really going to be the most common 90s you see a lot of people do, and this really just is, like I said, the most common one pretty much everyone does in this game. There's a few variants, like I said, that I'm going to talk about in this video, but this is really just the common one. People just do this this motion. It's kind of like a circular motion to do their 90s, and the reason why most people do it, because honestly, in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would agree, this is the easiest way to do 90s. It's very easy to get consistently, and there is other 90s you can do in this game, but I feel like even for me, I mess them up a little bit, and then people who do them, they also mess them up a little bit. So this is why most people do 90s like this, because it's the most consistent to do, and I almost never mess them up. They're very simple to do. But with that being said, there can be a few downfalls of doing those 90s, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later in this video. So the second double 90 or second 90s that people do is when they do it kind of in the reverse way. So instead of the typical 90 where you go from left to right, you basically want to go the other way. So you ramp up and then you build from right to left. And this one's a little bit more challenging and a little bit more difficult to get used to at first, because the timing is a little bit different. And for those of you guys who want to do these type of 90s, really the key to this is you basically want to do exactly what you're seeing me do. But one thing to keep in mind when you're doing these 90s is when you're doing them, you want to place your ramp a little bit later than you normally would, and that's just going to be the key to doing this, because you place your ramp a lot later, otherwise you're going to be placing the ramp under you every single time. So the next 90 that I want to talk about is my favorite way to do 90s. I do these pretty much every single game. This is exactly how I like to do them, and I'm going to explain exactly why. So these 90s, really the main key to do them is when you're going for the 90, you don't want to be on the far right, but at the same time you don't want to be right in the middle. You kind of have to find that sweet spot to do it. And the reason why I like these the best other than any other 90s in the game is just for one very simple reason. It doesn't mean it's always going to be the best 90 to do, but the reason why I like it the most is because when you're doing these 90s, you're going to be building to the side of you almost immediately after the first jump. So when you do that, the player who's going to be to the side of you in which you're building is going to have, it's basically going to be very impossible for them to try to get any shots on you, because you're going to be building at that side to the left or right, depending on which side you do 90s on. If you're building to the right side, you're going to be placing that wall on the right side way before they can even see you or get a shot on you. So that's why I like doing the 90s that way, just because it's very hard to counter and very hard to shoot back. And in just a second here, you're going to see a really good example of that, because as you can see, when I'm jumping up, when I turn to the right, my walls are already pretty much placed after my first jump. So after my first jump, you can already see that the walls that I'm placing on my second jump are already going to be up. And so that's just really a key to doing these consistently, because learning these can be a little bit more difficult. I know for me it was. It took me a little bit of time to really get these down. But as you can see, you're already building up to your side before you go into that second jump. So anyone from that angle is going to have a very difficult time of getting shots on you. And that's one of the downfalls I see when it comes to doing 90s, is a lot of people are getting shot at when they're doing them, because once you are doing a 90, you do leave like half your body exposed. So if anyone is from that angle, they're going to have a wide open shot on you and do a lot of damage very quickly. So that's just one of the things and one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, because when you're doing different 90s in this game, the way you build your 90s, or depending on which type of 90 you do, is really going to determine how the other player is going to counter you or able to get shots on you. So one example in one of the 90s that I did, and when I'm doing the reverse 90s, as you can see, when I'm building to my right first. And this is going to be very important when the player you're going against is going to be coming from that right side, but you're pretty much already on the left side. So when you go for the 90s, it wouldn't make any sense to try to jump the other way. So you're already on that left side and you want to jump right, but the player you're going against is going to be on that right side as well. So you want to build on that side first, and the reason being, if you build on that side first and you're doing the 90, it's going to block or prevent them from getting any sort of shots on you, rather than if you do the 90s that I'm showing you guys right now. If you go for these 90s and the guy is already to your right, they're going to have a wide open shot on you, and a lot of times, I really learned my lesson from this, I would get shot from 70 damage, 100 damage plus, going for the 90s, when I would have completely prevented it if I built the other way, if I started building the 90 from the left to the right. So that's just a really good example and why you'd want to do a 90 like that. And when you're doing different 90s in this game, I think in my opinion, completely in my opinion, I feel like some 90s are a little bit harder than the others. Like the first one I showed you guys in this video, I think that's the easiest 90 to do. It's the basic 90, and one thing I always talk about, and I think is really important, is just trying to be as consistent as possible. I talk a lot about this in my how to win videos, just because I feel like it's a lot better to be very consistent at, kind of average type of things, than to be a little bit good and mess up a ton when it comes to those very difficult builds, those very difficult edits. So if you're constantly doing a lot of flashy kind of things, it's not going to help you guys out a ton, just because a lot of times in games you guys are going to be messing it up, so it's not going to be the most beneficial thing to use. And just to give you guys another example, so say you're right here in this situation and you're going against someone else who's also building. Say they're from an angle like over here where I'm standing. So instead of going for a normal 90, which might work out pretty well, in my opinion, it's a lot better to go for the reverse 90, just because from that angle they might possibly or potentially have a shot on you. So building from that right side first is going to completely knock off any angle that they have on you. So that's just a perfect example and why you'd want to build from the right first in some cases. But like I said, you always want to try to be as consistent as possible. And if you're a lot better at doing the regular 90s, I would try to do the regular 90s as much as possible. So when you're going into game, you only really want to do the other 90s if you absolutely have to and you feel like it might be a lot better in that situation. Otherwise, I would just try to stay consistent as possible. And with all the 90s that I showed in this video, I have seen other people do different types of 90s, and I've seen a lot of variations when it comes to 90s, and just some other variations I've seen people do instead of just going for the regular 90. And this is pretty much the same thing. Instead of going in a circular motion, it kind of goes in a zigzag, which is pretty much the exact same 90. Some people prefer to do it like this. It helps them out. And honestly, I think it's very easy both ways. So it really doesn't matter. Just whatever feels a lot more better and a lot more consistent. But some people might mix and match. They have the 90 where you have just without the wall behind you. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but for these 90s that I'm doing right now on screen, for me personally, I feel like they're a ton easier to go from right to left, and these are the only 90s that I would say are going to be easier going from right to left, and I don't really know exactly why. Maybe you guys like doing them as well, or maybe you guys like doing them from left to right, but in my opinion, for those 90s, from the way I've seen it, it's been a lot more comfortable for me going from right to left. So if you have a hard time doing those 90s, I would try it the other way, because I feel like for me personally, like I said, I feel like it's just a lot easier to do that way. I don't really know exactly why, but for those 90s, it felt a lot easier. And with that being said, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys liked it. And if you guys could, make sure you drop a like in this video. It really does help me out. So make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my notifications so you're notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.